Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Plays, and I finally finished upgrading the I-250. It took a little bit. I was bouncing around between a few different airframes, but here it is. So, what do I think of the aircraft? The I-250, the Tier 8 Russian high-altitude fighter, is a very unique and interesting aircraft. In fact, I thought that this thing was powered by a combination of a motor and a jet engine, but it turns out that it's actually called a motor jet. And I had to look this up to figure out what that actually meant. But essentially, that exhaust you're seeing kicking out the back of the airplane isn't a rocket booster or even technically a jet engine. What it is that piston engine that's driving the propeller in the front of the airframe also has a shaft that is powering an air compressor that then forces air into a fuel air mixture chamber inside of the back of the aircraft and then ignites it. So the whole point of this was to get the benefit of both the propeller driven asset as well as the power of essentially what equated to being a jet engine, because you're just using exhaust thrust. The reason that this was advantageous is the propeller was good for being able to get more instantaneous acceleration at slower speeds, while a jet or any type of thrust exhaust propulsion is going to allow you to get better acceleration at already high air speeds. So this really does help during that transitional time between propellers and jets to kind of augment the power. And if anybody was fortunate enough to get the XF-15C, which was one of the premium aircraft given away for the West Wall event, you'll know that the XF-15C has kind of a similar system where it has a combination of a propeller as well as a exhaust powered system. However, it's a true jet on the XF-15C, just very small. But it does give it the same type of perks when it comes to applying that in game, which means that you're going to get pretty decent acceleration, and then you're also going to get very good top speed when it comes to utilizing your boost. The interesting thing here is that it actually counts as being two different engines, so if you get your propeller engine knocked out, you'll still be able to use your exhaust boost, or if you lose your engine slash compressor, you'll still be able to use your propeller boost. At one point during this battle, you'll see that I lose one of my engines, but I still have 4 seconds of my 8-second boost available, and that is indicative of that two engine concept. The aircraft sports an impressive array of cannon armament, and it definitely gets a little bit more stable when it comes to what you're going to be seeing for the rest of the line. It is two 23mm cannons as well as a 37 in the nose. I kind of got attacked a little bit here by a 262. I tried to break away, but that RB-17 definitely took me out, but I got my revenge right there, as it looks like either the AAA or one of my allies knocked him out. But back to the gun configuration. The 23mm cannons, Russians really love their 23s, especially later on in the development of the tech tree for all of the Russian line, and the 23mm cannon is very consistent and is a much better cannon than I've seen with any of the Hispanos or anything like that we see in lower tiers for the Brits or the Americans. The 37mm is surprisingly accurate with a very good velocity on it. It feels more consistent than what I've experienced with a similar type of setup with the 109G, where it has that 108 30mm cannon in the nose. That always gets me. But it feels more consistent, and I think it fires faster, but I don't know, maybe it's just all in my head. But it's enough to be able to augment the power of the 23mm cannons. Now you can see I wanted to get up to altitude, so I put the nose up and just hit that boost, and look, we're already up to about 6,000 feet, and 7,000 is about the altitude ceiling for this aircraft, and we're going to help our ally take out this RB-17. Albeit we got a little close on that one. One of the things I've always liked about altitude fighters is the ability to kind of yo-yo between low and high altitude and take out the ground attackers, take out the bombers, and just keep yo-yoing between those two altitude blocks and keeping zones safe, because you do get a bonus for killing aircraft inside of a zone for defending. I know that that TA 152 is not going to be very maneuverable, although he does have a very high top speed, so I'm just going to use my boost to be able to get up to him, but it looks like my allies took him out. That Yak-15 wanted to ram into me, and I was okay with that because I figured I'd survive, although that was a little too close for comfort, and I'm going to use the speed available to boost down here at 520 miles an hour and get into this repair bubble that we have from capturing this larger airfield. With a little bit of my health back, I feel a little bit more confident to go up and start engaging aircraft again, and I'm going to get a little bit of vengeance on one of these 262s that's been zipping around causing me problems. Now, I'm not going to be able to catch up to those aircraft, but I can maintain a close enough follow that it's hard for them to turn around on me, and that's going to be when I'll pounce on the aircraft. Bots tend to like to turn a lot earlier than they probably should, which puts them in a precarious situation, and by precarious I mean inside my field of view, so I can shoot you with my guns. Now a player typically isn't going to give you that opportunity. Now I see these bombers are rolling in relatively unabated, so I decide to just hammer down, use my boost, and my ability to be able to manipulate the battlefield with my high speed, and I'm going to go after some of these bombers, and if I can even take out one, that's going to help my team out. Settling in on this one bomber that looks like he was damaged by AAA somewhere, or possibly an ally. Now we know that the CC is safe, but if I can take out a couple more aircraft, it'll keep it safer longer, so that way a GA just can't come in and finish flipping it. Now my guns had overheated, so I kind of made a roll to alleviate some of the incoming fire while I let the guns cool. And he's already dropping the bombs, no point in being here. Let's roll and get away. Now you see here I lost an engine, but I still had 4 seconds of boost left. So once I repaired the engine, I was able to use both again and get back up to my 8-second boost. Now we know Squall line is coming in about 5 seconds, so before they come in here and bomb my repair facility, I wanted to top off on health yet again.
We cannot support you any longer. The storm is too heavy.
Now,
Copy. Over.
it's not that close of a battle. I think that we pretty much got this in hand at this point, but never think that you've got it won. Always play to win, even when it looks like the game is pretty much over, because that's when things can get ugly for you. So what I'm thinking here would be a good move for me is to just go full offensive on the Squall line and try and get rid of aircrafts, that way they can't respawn. So I'm in a hunt and kill mode here. Kill secures are totally viable during Squall line, because that means that they are not going to be coming back to get you with their 4 hit points and their massive cannons, because if a 262 gets away with only 4 hit points and then comes back when you're not paying attention, I'm sure his cannons are still going to work when they shoot you, so it's always good to take them out. This is what I was talking about with 262s constantly turning. He's going to put himself in a bad spot. Now I got another 262 below me. Put some hits into him. Now he's on one of my allies, so always help your ally, whether it's a bot or whether it's a real player or just an air defense fighter over one of your zones. Yep, didn't save him, but I took that 262 out for the entirety of the battle. 152s are dangerous sniper platforms, so I don't want to leave him alone, because he will be able to take out some of my allies or possibly get me if I'm not paying attention. Really? 1 hit point? There we go. Now, our bombers and their bombers just traded command centers, so I'm totally fine with that. That means I got some time. I can go and hunt down some more aircraft and try and get these points sorted out. Now, we're definitely ahead by, was that 200 points right now, so I'm not really worried about it, but I would like to continue to kill secure as much as I can. And it's only going to help my combat points as well as my experience and credit gains. And there's that 37 doing its work. Works really well for when you settle into a nice stern engagement and taking out one of those heavier platforms like a bomber or a ground attacker. Now Yak 15G is the player, so I would like to take him out as well since he's kind of the wild card. And here you'll get to see another example of top speed. Granted, I am angled down, but 529 miles an hour, really kicking it, and that boost comes back relatively quickly. Now he is target fixated, he doesn't even notice I'm here, and we make short work with him once that 37 finally connects. Alright, looks like this battle is pretty much over. I would like to get in here and cause some damage to this ground attacker since he is going to be the closer of the threats. And just how quick this aircraft is to be able to bounce around the battlefield in order to manipulate it. That's one of the things I really like about it.
Enemy bombers inbound. Don't let them reach their target.
Yep, and that's it. Alright guys, I'll catch you at the end results screen. Alright, all in all, not a bad game, not a spectacular game, just right down the middle. You're looking at a 10,000 personal points score with a little bit of change added on there, as well as credit income of nearly 120,000 while running premium, or even 73,000 while running non-premium. So you're going to be doing just fine when it comes to credits when you're trying to play these airframes, and you'll be able to eventually get yourself to the point where you'll be able to purchase the upgrades as well as the next airframe without it taking nearly as long as it did with some of the previous aircraft, because in my opinion it feels like tier 8 is where you start to hit your stride for credit as well as experience income in this game. Yes, you are going to be grinding longer, but it doesn't feel as bad because you are getting large swaths of points coming in. Now this was a 12,000 experience point battle, but bear in mind that this is going to be a result of a ×3 multiplier for the first win of the weekend for this airframe. When it came to the medals, we were able to get whatever this thing is. Nope, I'm not even gonna try it. Not even gonna try it. So this medal right here is indicative of killing 5 aircraft after the Squall line. So that is just another way of winning if we were to kill off all the rest of the aircraft that were remaining, which is one of the things I was attempting to do. We managed to get another skill point as well for the pilot, which is not too bad. We killed 6 aircraft while defending, which is what you want to do in fighter aircraft, as well as just straight up killing enemy aircraft. If you can do both, then you'll be getting a lot more points when it comes to your personal point score, as well as your badge for your combat role. We did get a little bit of capture points early on because we did manage to take that command center, but the rest of the time was spent very much in a defensive posture, and we're using our airspeed as well as our altitude performance to be able to manipulate a large swath of the battlefield. We had actually bounced between both command posts throughout that battle, and that's one of the things that the I-250 does very well. Now, being that the I-250 is a dual engine system, they're only going to represent the gas engine or the piston driven engine, but there is actually another engine inside. So this thing is a dual engine system with a jet engine exhaust here, which is what's going to account for your very fast acceleration in the boost. When it comes to airspeed here, it says that our top speed at best altitude is going to be 509, and you saw us in kind of a little bit of a downward angle, so we were getting a bit of dive speed. In addition to the boost, we were able to get well over 500 miles an hour in this aircraft, and it's easy to maneuver around the battlefield quite easily. The combination of 23mm cannons that are synchronized, that are mounted just underneath the edge of the cowlings here on the right and left hand side, that is what's going to give you your more consistent damage with those 23s, while the 37 is this big honking cannon coming out of the nose, which is what's going to allow you to get those big chunks of damage off of the aircraft. This all in all feels very similar to what I experienced with the BF-109G, although the cannon's a little bit more consistent, and it seems like the travel time is a little bit more predictable than it is with the Mark 108 30mm cannon that you see with the Germans. But you should start getting used to this general configuration of going to be 223mm and then some large cannon, because as you progress down the line, you'll note bam, MiG-9 has the exact same setup. Different 23s, but you'll be carrying the 37 along with you, and you'll be carrying the 37 along with you to the Tier 10 and the MiG-15. So it is nice that this line has finally stabilized with the gun configuration, and we should be able to see this through the rest of it. And I think that we're going to see more of the same type of role and performance coming out of these aircraft as we progress up through the tiers from 8 through 10. One of the things I really liked about this aircraft was its ability to climb as well as stay at altitude, which is one of the things I've liked about all of my altitude fighters. It makes it so that way there isn't any spot on the battlefield where I just can't reach out and touch it unless I really wanted to, you know, or didn't want to rather. When it came to modules and equipment, lightweight airframe, engine tuning, and reflector sight in order to get that 37mm cannon on target. For cruise skills, I went with kind of a jack of all trades for this one. We put a little bit into marksman in order to get some more accuracy out of the gun, a little bit into engine guru, and then we also put on aerodynamics expert in order to be able to get a little bit of a boost out of the lightweight airframe as well as the engine tuning. But your mileage may vary. If you would like to specialize more in a particular area, you may want to go full marksman to Marksman 2 or Engine Guru 2 if you really appreciate the speed this aircraft has to offer, or you may go so far as to just toss your points into Aerobatics Expert to give you an extra 2% of maneuverability. But the choice is ultimately yours. This is just the setup I went with, and I feel is consistent enough for me to be able to do what I need to do in this airframe. It says a 10-second turn time, but if memory serves correctly, this is a 10.3 or a 10.5. Either way, it's going to be a faster turn time than your Mustang series, so you will be able to outturn them with no modifications or boosts on the pilot of any kind. It should be relatively similar, so just bear that in mind. And this thing really does look like a grass shark, doesn't it? With that green camouflage and that big fin on the back. I don't know. It's a very odd looking aircraft with the cockpit mounted so far back on the airframe. But it performs very well and I do enjoy it. And when you get this aircraft stock, the vertical stabilizer is much smaller. It's this second upgrade that really kicks that tail up into the space, into the stratosphere up here. But all in all, not a bad plane. I really do enjoy it. And as always, guys, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like, and we'll keep pumping these videos out for you in the future.